Let's get down to business. Welcome back to John and John in the Workday. I'm your host, John Rawls, here with my co-host, John Stuart Mill, and our special guest for the week, Emmanuel Kahn. John, what are we discussing today?
Our topic for this morning involves the local Radnor High School. We have received an anonymous complaint about the Radnor High School dance contract and its severity on the subject of appropriateness.
The complaint involved these three specific guidelines of the contract. 7. School rules apply at all dances, including those involving appropriate dress. 8. School authorities maintain the right to prohibit music that is not consistent with the mission of the district. 11. Students may be sent home for inappropriate dancing or behavior. Emmanuel, do you believe these guidelines violate students' rights?
As you know, humans are rational beings. Therefore, we are worthy and deserving of dignity and respect. We have the right to be respected. If students are choosing to disrespect themselves by dressing inappropriately, as referred to in Guidelines 7 and 11, these rules are preventing them from doing so. In a way, the rules are enforcing their individual rights, not violating them.
I see your argument, but I don't think I quite understand. Can you elaborate?
High schoolers are at a time in their life when they are mature enough to make some decisions, but not experienced enough to make all choices independently and wisely. Although people should be free to do whatever they want, teenagers tend to make decisions based on inclination and peer pressure. They do not act freely because their choices are not autonomous. A student might dress a certain way to get attention or because it makes him or her feel better.
I agree. The influence of peer pressure can bring harm to themselves or other people. It blinds them from making decisions based on their values.
Yes, and because many might find it difficult or inconvenient to act out of moral duty. The dance contract builds a foundation for the students to build their own moral laws. Having the dance contract to enforce an ignorant teenager's individual rights is similar to how a toddler might need his or her parents while learning how to walk. Both the toddler and the teenager are inexperienced in different subjects. For the teenager, appropriateness, and for the toddler, walking. The teenager and the toddler both depend on something or someone to lead him toward success.
Kahn, I also believe that students need guidance in their decision-making, but is it necessary to restrict their dress? Teens may not have bad intentions by dressing a certain way. Maybe they simply enjoy the style of their dress.
Even if the students are dressing a certain way because they prefer it, they may just prefer it because it's what society tells them to prefer. Or maybe they're dressing that way to be appealing to society. They could be dressing in their own style because that's what they want, but with the power of peer pressure, very few dress as individuals.
The guidelines also refer to the appropriateness of the music that is played. If the students are choosing to disrespect themselves by listening to inappropriate music and dancing indecently, is that as immoral as them dressing inappropriately? Clearly, coming in attire that is exposing too much of the body is much more inferior than revealing one's dancing style that few people will actually pay attention to because it is too dark.
Absolutely not. Both actions are equally immoral. Both actions disrespect the students themselves. Dancing inappropriately and using music with raunchy lyrics is just as defiling as dressing to get the attention of the opposite sex.
Consider this for a moment. A specific song is played at Radnor High School's junior prom. The song is very popular with the youth, like a Jay-Z or a Kanye song. The school authorities deem it inappropriate and choose to prohibit it for the remainder of the dance. The students are frustrated with their decision. Personally, I think that yes, the students signed the contract, which states that no inappropriate music will be played. But another point to make is the fairness of the contract. Is the contract legitimate and just, even though there are differing opinions on what is appropriate?
Well, the guidelines clearly state, school authorities maintain the right to prohibit music that is not consistent with the mission of the district. And the mission of the district is as follows. The mission of the Radnor Township School District is to inspire in all students the love of learning and creating and to empower them to discover and pursue their individual passions with knowledge, confidence, and caring to shape the future. The appropriateness of the music would be determined according to the mission of the district.
First of all, the mission of the district may not even be legitimate. Whoever constructed the mission of the district obviously had power in mind. According to the written portion, they were determined to empower the students. This mission of the district creates an uneven balance of power among its faculty and students. One example being how the students do not get a voice in what music gets vetoed at the dances. Let's say that students and faculty were put under a veil of ignorance in order to make the new school rules. Each person didn't know if they were a teacher or a student, they just knew that they were trying to make the contract. Wouldn't everyone try to make it fair and give people equal power? Each person would try to make sure that, in case they were a student, they had the power to control themselves, or, if they were a teacher, that they had the power to control the masses. But the power would be nearly equal because no one wants to be the student who is getting the short end of the stick.
How is it accurate for the mission of the district to use words such as love of learning, passion, confidence, and caring? These opinionated standards only have a positive connotation because those who created the mission of the district act like so. It does not mean that these standards are values that the students should value highly. For example, if a teenager is given the choice to go see a foreign film or a newly released action film, he or she will probably choose the latter. The foreign film is of a higher value because one can learn more from it rather than the action film, but the teenager finds the action film more enjoyable.
Although a contract should not have had to be created, for if the students were acting out of moral duty, they would follow all the guidelines without scrawling a signature. A contract is necessary to make sure that every student is doing the right thing and respecting themselves as ends. In reply to your opinion on the diction of the mission of the district, do you not believe in the empowerment of discovery in students? Why should a school tolerate any influence of music that does not coincide with such valiant beliefs as these?
These values are indeed moral and just, but not appropriate to be mentioned in the mission of the district. Everyone holds the love of learning, confidence, and caring values at a varying standard. Let's go back to our original hypothetical, except this time, the authorities prohibit more than one song. In fact, they're stopping the music so often, it's hard to get through one song without interruption. The students are angry, the adults frustrated with them, and no one is happy. Is this fair?
Of course not. This isn't fair. The students are entitled to a night of fun because as individuals, they all agreed to come to the dance, made an effort to get ready and look presentable, while on the other hand, the chaperones monitoring the dance are being unreasonable. Adding on to John's point on the imbalance of power between faculty and students, the ones controlling the music selection are clearly abusing their authority. If this is making everyone unhappy, then they should stop changing the songs and just let it be. Besides, students are vulnerable to this type of inappropriateness in their everyday environment.
Once again, how can something be determined as school appropriate? This term is used again in the last guideline. Students may be sent home for inappropriate dancing or behavior. Who gets to determine what is appropriate and what is not appropriate? According to this contract, the school authorities have that power. But what about the legal guardians of the students? Do they not have a say in the enforcement of behavioral discipline? Say a student is dancing, and the chaperones find the dancing inappropriate. The student is sent home and laments their tale to his or her parents. The parents agree with their child that the dancing was not inappropriate and are angered with the decision to send the student home. I understand that they signed a contract, and by dancing and behaving inappropriately, they are violating that contract. But the contract may not be just in the first place. The contract stands on very shaky legs. It is all about opinion, and when it comes to matters of opinion, everyone's point of view differs.
The rules that are enforced at school can be different from rules that are enforced at home. The school must keep all of its students in mind. While some may have more lenient parents, it does not ease their responsibility to follow school policies. While breaking school rules may make them happy at that moment, they will eventually regret it because the school authorities will step in and take disciplinary action.
Contracts are never just because they are based on opinion. When it comes to appropriateness, it is difficult to determine what is right and what is wrong because everyone has different standards. In this changing world, the standards shift every day. What is morally right will vary from person to person, but in the end, what you do with yourself is your choice.
What a lovely closing thought. That's all the time we have for this morning. I'm your host, John Stuart Mill.
I'm Emmanuel Kahn.
And I'm John Rawls. Thanks for listening in, and we'll hope you'll come back later for another thrilling discussion.